Hello. Dear students, how are you all? Hope you are doing well. As we have started new chapter of our syllabus, chapter number 8, respiration, it's all about energy. Today we are going to discuss energy without oxygen in animals and plants. And we also have to compose answers of some short questions today. If I talk about what we are going to study today, then I want to say that following are the learning objectives of today's lesson. In this lecture we will discuss and learn following things. Recapitulation of previous lecture. Energy without oxygen in animals. How does anaerobic respiration works? Energy without oxygen in plants. We will compose answers of 5 short questions as well. So let us start with recap of previous lecture. In the last lecture we have composed the answers of the following questions. What is respiration? What is difference between respiration and breathing? Listen attentively. Now we are going to start today's lecture. First we have to discuss energy without oxygen in animals. We know most animals respire aerobically. They use oxygen to release energy from food. However, sometimes an animal's breathing rate cannot get oxygen to the cells quickly enough. The animal does not die, because respiration can also take place anaerobically, without oxygen. Walking is an aerobic exercise because the body gets enough oxygen for aerobic respiration to supply all the energy needed. Running fast is an anaerobic exercise. No matter how fast a person breathes or their heart beats, the body cannot get enough oxygen for aerobic respiration. This time anaerobic respiration supplies the energy needed. Unfortunately, there is a time limit on anaerobic exercise. Now I am going to discuss about the examples of aerobic respiration, which means respiration in presence of oxygen, and anaerobic respiration means respiration without involvement of oxygen. In the diagram you are watching on your screen you can see. On left side 2 people are walking normally, and walking is example of aerobic exercise. On the right side of your screen some athletes are shown while crossing the hurdle during a race, and hurdle racing is an example of anaerobic exercise. Dear students, it is very important to learn. How does anaerobic respiration work? During anaerobic respiration, instead of being broken down completely into carbon dioxide and water, glucose breaks down into lactic acid. Lactic acid is a sort of halfway stage between glucose and carbon dioxide and water. We can represent it as following word equation. Glucose is broken down into lactic acid. Carbon dioxide, water, and small amounts of energy is released. Anaerobic respiration is not the best way to get energy from glucose because the glucose is not completely broken down and much less energy is produced. Lactic acid also causes muscle fatigue. However, anaerobic respiration is very useful when energy is needed in a hurry. Anaerobic respiration in animals can be summarized like this equation. Glucose is broken down into lactic acid. And this breakdown release energy in small amounts. So let us start with recap of previous lecture. In the last lecture we have composed the answers of the following questions. What is respiration? What is difference between respiration and breathing? The roots of plants living in waterlogged soil have to use anaerobic respiration, otherwise the plant dies. However, the plant must return to aerobic respiration before the level of ethanol in the cells becomes too high and kills the plant. Now I am going to tell you that some fungi also respire anaerobically, such as yeast. Yeast is a microscopic fungus which can respire anaerobically or aerobically, depending on oxygen levels. When little or no oxygen is present, yeast breaks down glucose into ethanol and carbon dioxide with the release of energy, a process commonly known as fermentation. The yeast uses the energy to live. If yeast is mixed with glucose and water and put in a warm place, it will begin to ferment. A simple experiment to show fermentation is shown in the diagram. As the yeast breaks down the glucose to release energy, carbon dioxide gas is produced. This gas turns the calcium hydroxide solution, lime water, milky. Fermentation has been used for hundreds of years for baking and brewing. In baking, the carbon dioxide produced makes the bread dough rise. Now finally we are going to start the answers of short questions. You have to write these answers in your fair notebook. We are going to start from question number 1, that is, define respiration. Write a word equation for respiration. Answer of the question is written on the slide you can see on screen. Pause the video and write the answer of his question. The chemical process by which energy is released during the chemical breakdown of glucose in the cells of the body is called respiration. Word equation is also given in answer you can see in this reaction. Glucose reacts with oxygen and produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy as well. Question number 2 is, where does respiration take place? Answer of this question is quite simple. You can give answer in a single and very simple statement that respiration takes place inside the cells of the body tissues. That's it. Now moving toward next question, which is question number 3. Explain why muscle cells have more mitochondria than bone cells. You can see the answer of this question on your screen, write it in your notebook quickly. Answer is, muscle cells contain more mitochondria because they have to release large amounts of energy quickly for movement. Question number 4 of today's lesson is, explain the difference between breathing and respiration. For answer of this question you can draw a table with scale on your notebooks having 2 columns. You can compare these 2 processes by putting them in columns side by side as you are watching on your screen. Breathing. It is simply a way of exchanging gases between the lungs and the surroundings air, i.e. taking in oxygen and getting rid of carbon dioxide. Respiration. It is the process by which energy is released during the chemical breakdown of glucose in the cells of the body tissues. Finally, last question, question number 5 is, what are mitochondria? Answer of this question is displayed in the video on your screen as, mitochondria are tiny rod-shaped structures, found in the cytoplasm of every living cell. Respiration occurs in mitochondria. This was all about today's lecture. Hope you have learned about these things discussed here. At the end you are assigned to complete the given worksheet and copy all the question answers on your fair notebook. During composing your answer, pause the video and write answers of all questions carefully. See you in the next class. Thank you for your attention and listening. Goodbye.